Hi, I'm Maya. I'm a first year Keys undergraduate history student. Welcome to our video Favourite Things About Keys, in which myself and a few other Keys undergraduate students are going to talk about the things that we love most about Keys and hopefully give you a more personal insight into what life at college is like. I think that if you ask any student at Keys right now what their favourite thing about college is, they'll probably give you a massive list of things that they really like. So actually distilling all the things into one video is personally, I think, quite hard. But I'm going to attempt to try by beginning to talk about the college library. So the Keys College Library is probably one of the most beautiful buildings in Cambridge. It used to be an old university library, then a law faculty library, and then it eventually became the college's own personal library. So it's spread out over 3 floors. There's the dungeon and the underground floor. The dungeon is slang for the computer suite. There's the lower library, which holds very rare books, and there's the upper library, which is divided into the bottom section, and there's also 2 upper galleries where you can get a more quiet seat. So aside from being very beautiful, I think this library is ideal for a humanities student or any other kind of student. It's open from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m, so you can pretty much work whenever. And it houses so many different books. So it houses things from pretty much every subject and in quite niche subject areas as well. So it pretty much has every single book that I need on Anglo-Saxon history, which no other college library really has. And it saves me a lot of time because it means that I don't have to check around the different libraries and faculty departments to find everything that I need for my weekly essay.
Hi there, my name is Alex and I'm a second year modern and medieval linguist studying French and Russian at Gonville Keys College in Cambridge. So something else which really attracted me to Keys was the location. So the fact that the old courts and the main college is in the centre of town, and Cambridge's town centre is known to be this historic, beautiful place, and to be located right there is something which I find incredibly special. And when I walk down King's Parade and see that iconic Tower of Keys standing tall at the end of the parade, I still sometimes struggle to realise that's my place, that's Keys, that's home, that's where I have my supervisions and my teaching, and it's just something, quite an incredible feeling. So speaking of location, Keys Library is also located in the centre of town, right next to Senate House and the Old Courts, only 2 to 3 minutes walk away from the Old Courts. And it's one of my all-time favourite places. I just love the lighting at sunset when it comes through the windows, for example. These little things really do brighten up your day and really do make a difference and just add to that special Cambridge experience.
Hey, I'm Carla and I'm studying Human Social and Political Sciences. My first highlight about Keys would be the location. So Keys is a very central college. You've got the Old Courts in the centre, and about a 10-minute walk away you've got the first year accommodation. So I just study Human Social and Political Sciences, and the first year accommodation was particularly useful for me because a lot of politics staff were based on a building in Sidgwick site, which is right next door, and a few of my lectures in first year, quite a lot of them were on Sidgwick site as well, so also next door. So it was really handy when I was going to lectures or supervisions because I could just get out just before and make it there, normally on time. Where you have your lectures and supervisions will vary depending on the course you're taking, but regardless of that, Keys is still a very central college, especially the Old Courts. There's a lot of coffee places and shops nearby, so it makes it very convenient.
One of my favourite things about Keys is the MDR. So at Keys we have what's called an MDR, which stands for a minimum dining requirement. This means that every term each student pays 36 meals in Michaelmas, 36 meals in Lent, so those are the first 2 terms, and then 32 meals in Easter term, which is the third of the 3 terms per academic year. The MDR is really something so invaluable in my opinion. I can't imagine my experience at university without the MDR. It's an opportunity for everyone just to sit down and eat together after a long day, and to be able to chat with friends and simply just unwind, let off steam after having worked the whole day or before going off to another commitment. So for me, for example, before going off to an orchestra rehearsal or before going off to the library to study for the evening, it was just a very pleasant, relaxing environment to be able to either have a formal dinner. So even though they're called formals, they are really quite relaxed in terms of atmosphere, and you're just sitting and chatting with friends, or a cafeteria hall style dinner. So that's even more casual and simply just getting your own food and being able to sit for however long you want and just enjoy the company of others. Sometimes you do need a break and you don't realize it until you have it, and I think the MDR is something which is there for that very reason, which you don't necessarily think you need, but after having eaten with others, you just feel that much better, and it just really just refreshes you to have been with your friends for that time.
Formal hall, you get to wear your gowns and it's a lot more traditional, it's a bit longer, and you also get served food. But I tend to do that about 4 times a week or so at Caius, so it's quite a regular thing. And when you're not the best cook like me, and you're so busy with work, it's really handy to have food served for you. And it's also a nice place to just know that you can meet your friends if you booked in at the same time, and know you'll meet them at hall or formal over dinner and have a chat to them and people around you as well.
As well as the MDR, I really am so grateful for the accommodation that we have at Caius, especially freshers accommodation. Almost all rooms for freshers are en suite, so they come with their own bathroom inside. And my room I started calling it home within a few days. I absolutely fell in love with it. It was in Harvey Court, and Harvey Court and Stephen Hawking building, so the two main buildings for freshers. They're so close together, so it creates such a great social space, and it's the perfect time to have that contact with different people within your year group, as it's your first year and you get to know people in your year, in your college, so much better that way, because you're in such a close environment with them. And as well as that, Harvey Court, for example, had a communal balcony, so we could all go out and wave to each other across the balconies, or walk around and just be all on one balcony, seeing each other and speaking to each other, which I really appreciated. And the view from both buildings is incredible. So from the Stephen Hawking building, you can in some rooms see parts of King's College, across to the northern areas of Cambridge, as well as also the law faculty building, which is marvelous architecture. It's a glass building, very modern but very sleek, and very just a beautiful building. From Harvey Court, you get great sunset and sunrise views depending on which side you're looking at.
Hiya, I'm Ella and I'm studying philosophy at Caius. So I'm also going to talk about location and accommodation as some of my favourite things about Caius, like Alex just did. So what I particularly like about the location of Caius is that there's that central hub in Old Course, and even though you're not living there until 3rd year, and even then you don't have to live there, I really like that it feels like there's sort of a home in the centre of town that you can always come back to, right on the edge of King's Parade. But also I really like that in 1st year you're not living there, so you're in Harvey Court, which is right next to Sidgwick site, which is where all of the humanities students have their lectures. So it meant that as a philosophy student I could sort of wake up, roll out of bed 5 minutes before a lecture started, and still not be late, which was very much appreciated. But I also like that in 2nd year you get a lot of variety with where you're choosing to live. So if you want to be in the centre of things, then you can be in the middle of town on Rose Crescent or Green Street, which is where there are some college-owned houses and flats. But also if you want to live in a proper house with your friends and feel like there's a sense of community, then you can live on Mortimer Road. And lastly, if you want to live right next to Sidgwick site again, then you can live in K Block. So you can really choose where you want to live according to your own priorities, which I think is really valuable. That leads me on to the second point, which is about the sense of community I found in Caius. So this was really built up in 1st year because you're all living on the same site in Harvey Court, but also I think I got that a lot from my extracurricular activities that were a part of the college life. So I think the most valuable sense of community that I've got being at Caius is from the women's and non-binary football team. So I haven't played much football before coming to Caius, but it was just the most accepting, brilliant group of people who all cared about quite similar things, but also cared about each other a lot. And it's one of the most valuable things that I got out of my time there.
Hi, I'm Maddie and I study medicine. I really enjoyed being on the GCSU. It's basically the Government Caius Student Union, and it allows you to be part of discussions in college, talking about issues such as the Fisher window. So we started that discussion and then we passed it on to the new execs to kind of continue and push. It's really nice and so inclusive, and we got to make loads of friends, especially in other years, so it kind of allowed you to branch out from your year and talk to people in the years above. And also we were able to do social events like bowling, and we also had a lovely meal where you hand over to the new exec, and it's just a celebration of all of the things that you've done that year and allows you to have a really nice time and celebrate the achievements that you've made.
Hi there, I'm Podrick, and I'm about to be a second year studying Anglo-Saxon, Norse and Celtic at Gonville and Keys. One of the first things I'd like to talk about is the LGBT community. Now, as someone who identifies as an LGBT member, I have to say that I was very pleasantly surprised when coming to Keys last year as a fresher. Now, prior to coming to Cambridge, I had certain misapprehensions that I wouldn't be able to find anyone, or just, not being able to connect with any other members of the LGBT community, but I was proved wrong, and I'm really happy I was, because the LGBT community at Keys is very vibrant, very welcoming. Last year's LGBT officer, they were absolutely amazing, and they provided and laid on so many different activities throughout the entirety of the 3 terms at Cambridge. So that's 24 weeks, and there's something happening every single week. So, if you have a fear of missing out, it's really not a problem, because there's something for everyone every single week. And we got movie nights, we got discussion panels, we've got brunches, we've got college swaps. So when you get to interact with different LGBT communities across Cambridge from different colleges.
I also really love the medic community in Keys. So there's about 26 people in each year, and these include medics and vets, and it means that you have the above years to support you. You can kind of get on with the lower years and support them, and you also have support within your year. So there's so many people that can kind of help you, and it means that you can kind of find your friends within the medics as well. So I found that really nice. And I've also really enjoyed being in the MedSoc community. I'm actually MedSoc president this year, and it's really good fun, and you kind of just get to know everyone.
Hi, my name's Stan and I study medicine. One of my favourite things about studying medicine at Keys is being able to interact and socialise with such a large cohort of medics. Despite the heavy workload, there are frequent opportunities to socialise and for welfare, such as at the pizza and pre-drinks at the start of the year, where you get to meet medics in other years. The Keys MedSoc dinner and Christmas party are 2 real highlights of the year, where everyone gathers together to enjoy a good time, and these are often rather eventful. As well as Keys having a lovely library, medics are fortunate enough to have their own room, filled with every medical textbook you could possibly need, as well as a life-size skeleton.
Keys is a very old college. It's got really amazing architecture, and it depends what kind of feel you want from college, but I really liked the whole old Cambridge vibe of it, so that was quite a big factor for me in choosing the college. And the dining hall, really love the architecture, and the old courts especially for that.
Hi, I'm Grace and I study law at Keys. One of my favourite things about it is that it's such a large college. This means that you meet loads of different people who study loads of different subjects, and also you are likely to have people within your subject within Keys. So I for example have 10 other lawyers that I can ask if I'm struggling on questions and things, and also those in different years who are happy to help. I find it's a really friendly environment as well, despite being a large college, so you get the benefits of having lots of different people to chat to, but also a really friendly and happy feel. Also, I say you get access to a lot of resources being part of a larger college. Our library is really, really good, and we also have a huge range of fellows who are experts on their subject. For example, we have 4 law fellows who are brilliant and will take you for supervisions, which also means that sometimes your supervisions are in college as opposed to having to go elsewhere. Another of my favourite things about Keys is the porters. So at Cambridge you have porters for each college who essentially work on the doors, check as guards, are there for students to help them out. Ours are really, really friendly. You can always have a chat with them if you go through their porter's lodge, which is at the entrance to college. You make friends with them, you see them throughout the year, they see you when you're happy, perhaps when you're not so happy, and they're always on the lookout for you. They've called taxis for me, they've helped me out, they've sent me to hospital once or twice, but it's always been a really positive experience with them, and I don't think my Cambridge experience will be the same without the Keys porters.
I do find the chapel to be an absolutely brilliant thing about Keys as well. I usually go there when I just want some peace and quiet, We also have evening song and Eucharist on Sunday, and then there's free brunch afterwards. But there's also the choir, and they're absolutely great. You can join the choir as well if you so wish. They sing really beautifully. And there's obviously our dean, so the Keys dean, Dr. Hammond. She is such a ray of sunshine. She also hosts a yearly dinner with freshers at the beginning of Michaelmas term. I went last year, and it really does not disappoint. The food's great, but also the company's even better. And the third and last thing I'd like to talk to you about, and that's the Keys Library. Now, I know people before me already talked about the library, so I'll just focus on the ASNAC aspect. ASNAC, with its diverse range of interests, you would think that you would struggle finding books from such a niche subject, but you really don't, because you find anything from history, so Scandinavian history, for example, Anglo-Saxon history. I focus on linguistics. I find any sort of linguistic book in Keys. And just to let you in on a little secret, among my ASNAC peers, I get most of my friends from ASNAC asking me if I can borrow books from Keys for them, because they just don't have those sorts of books at their college libraries, and I think it's quite telling.
Finally, I'd like to talk about the Supercurricular Support Network offered by college and your Director of Studies. So as a history student, I get 1 weekly Japanese supervision every week completely free in order to help me be able to read historical texts in Japanese. And that is super helpful. Hopefully it will be used for my 3rd year dissertation as well. And there's also an option to get them in other languages, ranging from things such as from Arabic to Chinese to Turkish as well. There's also an option to get a tutor's donation fund during your summer holidays, which can be used for things such as language courses again, or other things that your Director of Studies deems useful or helpful for your course. So, wonderful for making it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope that we've been able to give you a useful insight into what working, living, but also having fun at Keys is like. Please stay tuned for more videos such as application advice, more videos on what it's like to study subjects at Keys, and interview advice as well. Thank you again for watching.